And again, a little footnote. I think it's important that we remember that it's been only relatively recently that Palestine has been incorporated into social justice agendas, larger social justice agendas. That was actually a major struggle to persuade people that
they fucking co-opted it.
Palestine shouldn't be considered.
That's what she's saying. They co-opted it.
Issue. That there's social justice, and then there's the question of Palestine. So that I think we need to congratulate ourselves because it's important to recognize that we can win, that we can achieve victories. For this moment when larger numbers of people who would not have affiliated themselves with struggles in Israel, Palestine, would have thought that was a far too difficult issue to understand and would have left it. And we're at a different moment now, and we have to keep pushing, and we have to stand up for our Palestinian comrades and show the rest of the people in our movements that it is possible to engage in that kind of active solidarity on a daily basis.
Please let that be the last word.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers, and thanks for that powerful closing, Angela.
Yes, very powerful, Angela.
You all heard it. You're being asked by these powerful organizers.
Okay.
To go.
I'm done. I'm done with this because like that last part, guys. That last part. So how I explained earlier, I said the Palestinian freedom movement has been a real thing for like a long ass time, as long as I've been alive. There's never been a time in my life that I have been looking at politics, and I've been looking at politics since I was a teenager, where I didn't understand the Palestinian freedom movement, right? And so that's always been a thing. And I said earlier that there are people that have legitimately been involved in the Palestinian freedom movement forever, for like decades, and they're showing up on these socialist webinars, and we're all agreeing with them, and we're like, yes, we agree with you. You're right, Palestinian freedom people. You're right. This is a genocide. This is bad. We don't support this. And it's been killing us to agree with the socialists, but it's like when they're right, they're right. You have to throw them a bone and give credit where credit is due. And then I've been saying that this thing with college campuses being like these pro-Hamas protests, that's not about Palestine at all. It's basically co-opting the issue to cause problems, because the people that are doing the protests on college campuses never cared about this issue before October 7th. They never cared about it before then. So you have two different types of people. You have the people who have legitimately been involved in the Palestinian freedom movement forever, and you have the people that are the Johnny-come-latelys that just saw an opportunity to cause problems, which is what socialists do. It's what they do. Destabilizing the system is one of the ways that they gain power, right? And so I've been talking about these two separate groups for weeks. Now, a lot of conservatives are trying to integrate everyone who doesn't want a Palestinian genocide with being pro-Hamas, because they're trying to use this as a political wedge issue too, and they've always been wrong. Every single conservative who's saying that anyone that is like anti-genocide of the Palestinians is pro-Hamas is lying. These are two different groups. They've always been two different groups. What Angela Davis said at the end is she essentially admitted and said the quiet part out loud that the social justice socialists co-opted the Palestinian freedom movement and dragged the Palestinian freedom movement under their umbrella. She admitted it. She admitted they co-opted the movement. She admitted that there was one point where these things existed as two separate things. You had social justice over here, and you had Palestinian freedom movement over here, And then what happened, and they've done this before. They did this to the LGBT rights movement. There used to be a legitimate LGBT rights movement that was real, and they had legitimate grievances, just like the Palestinians have legitimate grievances. And then gay marriage was legalized nationwide in 2015. And what happened when gay marriage was legalized is the queer Marxists came in and co-opted the LGBT movement to use it for their own purposes. Angela Davis literally just told us the same thing happened. You had the social justice stuff over here. I'm going to keep my hands consistent. And you had the Palestinian freedom movement over here. And what happened is the social justice movement co-opted the Palestinian freedom movement, which I knew happened in theory, but to hear Angela Davis say that directly, I mean, she didn't use the word co-opted, but she basically said, like, we took over the Palestinian freedom movement and we dragged it under our wing. Yo, that was crazy. That was crazy. And this aligns perfectly with the lecture that we saw a couple weeks ago on Marx's On the Jewish Question from 2018, because Angela Davis literally said that Black Lives Matter would not have existed without the Palestinian freedom movement. We have that on tape. Now, that was in 2018. That was before most people even knew what Black Lives Matter was. Why? Why was the Palestinian freedom movement integral to Black Lives Matter? Because they fucking co-opted it. They took it over and they co-opted it. By gaining power probably within the movement, by getting their people integrated within the movement, and then they took it over. And this is the real danger of socialists. In that socialists, in order to gain as much power as they can, in order to destabilize as many things as they can, they will co-opt legitimate movements just to use it for their own purposes. And Angela Davis just admitted that's exactly what they did with the Palestinian freedom movement. And this, folks, is why we watch socialism. Because you do not understand how the world really works until you understand that the people that we were just watching, the real socialists, the real far left, they're in everything. They're controlling everything. And when movements are effective, they co-opt them and they take them over. Man, you're not getting this stuff on any other channel. I'll tell you what. Sandy, you don't get this stuff anywhere else, right, Sandy? No one else is talking about this. No one else is showing you guys this stuff. And the beauty of this is you don't even need to take my word for it because you heard her say it. I don't need to explain anything anymore. We have Angela Davis saying the quiet part out loud. Thank you, Angela Davis.